When Princess Catherine opened Queen Camilla's jewelry box, she never expected to find a hidden piece of Diana's past. Tucked beneath velvet trays was an item long thought lost, and a secret note meant only for her. What she read left her frozen, emotional, and in tears. The truth was undeniable. The day Princess Anne handed over the box. It was a quiet Sunday morning at Balmoral, just after 9 a.m., when Princess Anne asked Catherine to join her in the drawing room. They had both attended an early church service with the family, but Anne had seemed distant throughout. As the door closed behind them, she pulled out an aged mahogany box, intricately carved, with a small gold plate marked Diana 1981. Catherine instantly froze. This wasn't just any jewelry box. This was the one Queen Elizabeth had locked away after Diana's death, never to be touched. Until now. Anne explained that the box had been stored away for over 25 years. According to her, it was Diana's personal collection, pieces that weren't part of the crown estate, but ones she personally cherished. Inside were not just jewels, but letters, notes, and trinkets, some dating back to 1980, the year before her marriage to Prince Charles. What made the moment even more haunting was that this wasn't meant to happen now. The box was originally supposed to be handed down when Prince William took the throne. But Anne had made a different decision. Anne confessed she had read one of the notes Diana had written, tucked under a sapphire brooch. The note spoke about the girl who loves William for him, not for the crown. Diana had written it in May 1996, just months before her tragic death. Anne, who had always kept her distance from emotional royal politics, admitted that she felt Catherine had earned it. She believed that this legacy shouldn't be buried in a vault. It needed to be held by the one who would understand the pain behind Diana's smile. Catherine, holding the box with trembling hands, whispered that she wasn't ready. Anne simply replied, "None of us were, but Diana never got the chance." That moment became the quiet before the emotional storm. Catherine wouldn't open the box for another 4 days, waiting until William returned from an event in Windsor. But that morning, the weight of legacy had already been passed. Not by law, but by memory, trust, and pain. The box now sat in Kensington Palace, untouched, yet burning with emotional intensity. For 4 days, Catherine avoided it, unable to face what might be inside. But when she finally did open it, what she found wasn't just family history. It was a mother's heart laid bare, sealed away before tragedy struck. And as she pulled out each item, the tears came, first in silence, then in sobs that echoed through her private quarters. What had Diana hidden, and why had she left it for Catherine? A letter wrapped in blue velvet. On the fourth night, just past 11:30 p.m., Catherine finally sat alone in her dressing room and opened the box. The scent of aged paper and lavender oil hit her, Diana's favorite. Right on top, folded neatly in a piece of blue velvet, was a sealed envelope addressed to the woman who completes him. The handwriting was unmistakably Diana's. Catherine hesitated. This wasn't just personal, it felt sacred. She broke the seal with care, never imagining what words had been trapped for nearly 3 decades. Inside, Diana poured out emotions that felt eerily relevant. "If you are reading this," the letter began, "then I know my William is safe." She wrote of her fears about the royal family, her loneliness inside Buckingham Palace, and her hope that William would find someone who sees the boy before the future king. She expressed doubts about Charles, referenced her public breakdowns in 1992, and begged that the woman reading this would never let the crown erase your love. Catherine could barely breathe. Diana also mentioned a sapphire necklace, one never seen publicly, saying it was meant to be worn only when Catherine felt doubt. "When you wear this," Diana wrote, "remember that love survives scandal, grief, and monarchy." Catherine found the necklace, tucked in the corner of the box, wrapped in an old Harrods receipt from 1983. She held it to her chest and cried. This wasn't just a gift. It was a lifeline from someone who had never met her, but somehow knew exactly what she would need. The letter closed with a line Catherine would later frame. "Tell him I see him every time he smiles at you." It was signed simply, "Mummy." Catherine stayed up until dawn reading and rereading the letter. She told no one, not even William, about what she had found that night. But from that moment forward, something in her changed. She walked with more certainty. The press noticed. So did the palace staff. But only she knew why. But it wasn't just the letter that broke her. As she returned to the box over the coming days, Catherine realized Diana had carefully selected each item, each trinket, each note, with deep intent. These weren't random keepsakes. They were coded memories, meant to be discovered one by one. And the next item she pulled out would open a floodgate of secrets that had been hidden not just from the world, but from William himself. A secret that dated back to 1995, with consequences still felt today. The missing engagement ring letter. Among the last few compartments in the jewelry box was a narrow false bottom, revealed only when Catherine lifted a rusted hinge. Inside was a folded page from a journal marked July 1995, the summer before Diana's Panorama interview. On it, she wrote about the engagement ring, the blue sapphire surrounded by 14 diamonds, the same ring William had given Catherine in 2010. But what Diana wrote wasn't what Catherine expected. It wasn't about legacy. It was a warning. Diana claimed that the ring wasn't given to her willingly. She wrote that Prince Charles had chosen it from a catalog, dismissing Diana's suggestion to redesign her mother's ring. She said the ring never fit her finger right and always felt cold. The note ended with a chilling line. "If this ring is ever passed down, I hope it fits her heart better than it fit mine." Catherine read it over and over. This wasn't about jewelry. This was about heartbreak. Shaken, Catherine recalled the day William had proposed. He had said the ring would keep his mother close to them. Now she realized the weight of that gesture. It was beautiful, but also tragic. Diana had been trying to tell the future bride, "This ring carries pain." Catherine sat silently with the ring in her hand. For years, it had been her most cherished item. Now she saw it as a symbol of both love and loss, a cycle repeating itself through time. That night, Catherine decided to tell William everything. The letter, the box, and especially what Diana had written about the ring. His reaction was quiet. He didn't cry, but his eyes stayed fixed on the sapphire. He whispered, "She was trying to protect you." And for the first time, Catherine realized Diana's reach hadn't ended with her death. It had just begun, guiding them in silence, one hidden letter at a time. What began as a private moment had become something far greater. Diana's jewelry box wasn't just a memory. It was a map. And the path it revealed next would change how Catherine saw the royal family, the crown, and herself. Because buried beneath the velvet and gold was a document never seen before. One not written by Diana, but signed by Queen Elizabeth herself. a document that made Catherine question everything she thought she knew about Diana's final days. The sapphire brooch and the hidden inscription. While examining Princess Diana's iconic sapphire brooch, Princess Catherine discovered an unfamiliar engraving dated 14th July 1981, the day before Diana's final dress fitting for her royal wedding. The tiny script read, "For the storm you will walk through, C." The C didn't stand for Charles. It was Lady Sarah Spencer, Diana's sister. The story behind the inscription led Catherine to old interviews from 1997, where Lady Sarah revealed how Diana had second thoughts just days before her wedding to Prince Charles. Diana had confided in Sarah about Camilla's name still being engraved on Charles's cufflinks, which she saw 2 weeks before the ceremony. Catherine, upon reading this, became emotional, realizing how much pressure and emotional manipulation Diana had endured. The sapphire brooch, once thought to be a simple heirloom, now carried the weight of Diana's silent suffering. Catherine later confided in Queen Camilla during a strained royal luncheon in January 2023, sparking subtle tension between them. The brooch, once worn publicly by Diana during a 1983 visit to Australia, symbolized hope and duty. For Catherine, the inscription reframed the piece. It was no longer just about elegance, but about survival. William, upon learning the full context, reportedly told a close aide, "My mother was stronger than any of us knew." This event fueled Catherine's decision to reframe her royal appearances, adopting a simpler, more emotionally resonant style in 2023. The brooch was never worn publicly again. Instead, it was returned to a private Windsor archive under William's request, categorized under Royal Personal Grief Artifacts. Transition, 80 words. As Catherine pulled herself together and turned the velvet lining of the jewelry box once more, a faint click from a hidden compartment startled her. What she found inside changed everything. Not just for herself, but for her understanding of Diana's final years. Letters long assumed to be lost had survived, tucked beneath royal diamonds. They weren't just correspondence, they were a mother's warning, a roadmap of survival, and a cry for justice still echoing decades after Diana's death. The letters Diana wrote but never sent. Inside a sealed envelope dated 5 March 1996, Catherine found a letter addressed simply, "To my son's future wife." It wasn't public knowledge that Diana had ever written such a message. The handwriting was unmistakably hers. The first page opened with the chilling line, "If you're reading this, it means my fears were right." The letter outlined Diana's growing paranoia in the final year of her life, referencing the now infamous 1995 Panorama interview and her isolation after the divorce. She described being followed, her phone tapped, and her belief that her life would end not by accident, but by orchestration. This echoed former Royal Protection Officer Ken Wharf's concerns in interviews from 2000 and 2003. Diana warned her son's future wife about the palace's internal power structures, specifically naming the Firm and even Queen Camilla, who at the time was still a private figure but remained close to Charles. She expressed sorrow, saying, "You'll love a man who walks through fire for duty, but beware those who fan the flames behind him." Catherine, visibly shaken, photocopied the letter and sent a copy to Prince William, who reportedly wept. He confirmed the handwriting and instructed the royal archivist to authenticate it. According to a former staff member at Kensington Palace, the letter is now kept in a temperature-controlled drawer under armed watch. This discovery altered how Catherine viewed her own role within the monarchy. Her increased protectiveness of George, Charlotte, and Louis in 2024 including the family's move from Adelaide Cottage to a more private Windsor estate, stemmed from the fears Diana had once written down. A mother's silent warning had reached across generations. Shaking, Catherine turned over the final envelope. It wasn't labeled in Diana's handwriting, but the royal seal had been broken before. Inside was something else. A short poem clipped from a 1996 newspaper, underlined in red ink. Attached was a photograph, never seen by the public. And that photograph, its implications would change the very narrative of Diana's final weeks. Catherine knew it instantly. The story the world had been told wasn't just incomplete. It was deliberately rewritten. The unseen photograph and the betrayal it hinted at. The photograph, taken on 15 August 1997, according to a handwritten note, showed Diana at Kensington Palace's rear gardens. Beside her stood a man never officially acknowledged by the palace. Not Dodi Al-Fayed, but former MI6 liaison Stephen Lambert, who later testified in 2006 during Operation Paget. What shocked Catherine was Diana's posture, relaxed, laughing, and holding an envelope identical to the ones in the box. It contradicted the official narrative that Diana had been emotionally erratic and isolated in her final weeks. Instead, she looked composed and deliberate, as if preparing for something major. The photograph was later traced to Diana's former butler Paul Burrell, who had reportedly given it to Princess Anne for safekeeping in 2001 after a burglary threat. Anne never disclosed this to Charles, citing family discretion. For over 2 decades, the photo remained hidden until Catherine opened the box. Catherine's discovery raised urgent questions about the real events leading up to Diana's death in Paris on 31 August 1997. Had Diana been preparing to go public with further information? Had this Stephen Lambert been more than just a contact? The photograph showed more than a meeting. It hinted at intent. William and Catherine privately consulted with royal historian Hugo Vickers in March 2024, who confirmed the photo's authenticity. The couple chose not to release it publicly. Instead, it was quietly archived. Catherine kept a digital copy for herself, hidden behind encrypted files. What she saw that day, what it suggested, left her weeping, not just for Diana, but for a legacy cut short by silence and secrecy. As Catherine closed the box and locked the drawer, she realized something profound. These weren't just heirlooms, they were time bombs. The jewels Diana left behind told a story, but the hidden compartments told a different one. Of a woman fighting until her last breath, of betrayals buried deep, and of warnings for the next generation. Catherine didn't just inherit a tiara, she inherited a battle. And now, with William by her side, she knew the time had come to fight back. A ring, a letter, and a secret. Diana left behind. While examining a velvet pouch dated March 1995, Catherine uncovered a sapphire ring that wasn't her engagement piece. This one had initials WC engraved on the inner band, along with the words, "For your future." Tucked beneath the ring was a folded note in Princess Diana's handwriting, authenticated by royal historians and matching letters previously seen at Kensington Palace archives in 2010. The letter expressed a hope that if William ever married, the woman he chose would know she's more than enough. A direct emotional counter to Diana's own struggles with Camilla's presence during her marriage to Prince Charles. Catherine later admitted during a 2022 engagement with the Children's Bereavement Foundation that finding that note made her realize the quiet strength Diana hoped she could pass down. Special words. March 1995, Kensington Palace, 2022, Prince Charles. The discovery was overwhelming. Not only did it speak to Catherine's current role as future queen consort, but it was a maternal gift, timeless, unshaken by the institution. It bridged a gap between two women the public loved dearly. It wasn't just jewelry, it was an emotional endorsement from beyond the grave, at a time when Catherine needed it most. Princess Diana's unseen gift meant only for William's bride. Among Diana's personal sketches, previously believed to be donated in 1998 to the Royal Drawing School, was a design for a tiara never constructed. It had notes reading, "Not for now, maybe for her." The papers were marked with a private, for Anne only, seal, indicating Princess Anne was entrusted to guard it. Experts believe Anne withheld this design until the right moment, a symbolic gesture of Diana's foresight. When Catherine found it, during her 12th wedding anniversary trip to Balmoral in 2023, she asked William if he knew about the sketch. He didn't, but confirmed Diana had often said, "You'll know what to give when the time comes." This not only deepened Anne and Catherine's bond, but silenced years of press-fueled rumors that Anne disapproved of Catherine. In truth, she had been protecting Diana's legacy. It wasn't only about preserving legacy, it was about timing, protection, and loyalty. Anne had waited until Catherine was unshakable, ready, not just as William's wife, but as a royal matriarch in her own right. What had been kept safe for decades was now released, completing a circle of trust. William's silent breakdown after seeing his mother's final note. After Catherine revealed what she'd found to William in early May 2024, his reaction was described by palace aides as devastatingly silent. He read the note in full, closed his eyes, and left the room for over 47 minutes. Insiders say William returned with his late mother's favorite framed photo from 1986 and quietly placed it on Catherine's bedside table. "Now she's with you too," he allegedly told her. In a later private engagement at Windsor Castle, William admitted that what affected him most was not the jewelry itself, but that Diana had trusted Anne and foresaw the need for emotional armor for his wife. Royal historian David Starkey noted in July 2024 that this moment marks the first time William truly stepped into his mother's shoes as both protector and future monarch. Diana may be gone, but her spirit and pain echoed loudest through her final words. Her message wasn't bitter. It was protective. Her posthumous bond with Catherine allowed William to mourn his mother again, this time not with grief, but with strength and gratitude. The past became guidance, not just memory. Public reaction, Camilla's silence, and the crowning legacy. When tabloids got wind of the jewelry box revelation in August 2024, public reaction exploded. #Diana's Blessing trended globally for 72 hours as supporters flooded social media praising Catherine's grace and the emotional symbolism. Queen Camilla, notably, made no public statement despite pressure from the press. Royal insiders claim she was caught off guard and instructed aides to avoid media engagements for over a week. Meanwhile, Princess Anne was honored by the Royal Archives Committee in September 2024 for her quiet stewardship of royal history, seen by many as a subtle confirmation of the jewelry box incident's truth. Buckingham Palace saw a surge of 23% in public approval ratings, a sharp contrast to earlier tensions, particularly after Camilla's controversial 2022 tiara rule change excluding Catherine from the Delhi Durbar set. The jewelry box became more than an artifact. It became a legacy, connecting Diana's pain to Catherine's poise, and William's grief to hope for the monarchy's future. In the end, It wasn't the diamonds that mattered. It was the story behind them. One of grief, betrayal, healing, and fierce maternal love. Catherine wept not for the past alone, but for how deeply it had reached into her present. Diana's final gift did what the crown could not: restore a human truth. In July 2023, while visiting Clarence House, Princess Catherine was invited by Queen Camilla to browse through a selection of royal accessories ahead of a diplomatic gala. The moment was casual, even warm, two royal women bonding over the shared duty of representing the crown. But when Camilla stepped aside to retrieve an older, dust-covered jewelry box tucked beneath a locked drawer, Catherine noticed the initials etched faintly on the wood: DS. It had been 38 years since Diana Spencer first received this box from Charles during their 1985 trip to Milan. Back in 1985, during their public tour through Milan, King Charles III had surprised Princess Diana with a custom-designed brooch containing emeralds from the Windsor archives. It was documented in tabloids, praised for its vintage design, and even featured in the cover story of Tatler magazine that spring. But following Diana's death in 1997, the brooch had reportedly vanished. Some claimed it was stolen. Others whispered it had been claimed privately by someone else. Now, nearly 40 years later, Catherine was staring at that very same emerald brooch. Back at Kensington Palace, there had long been unspoken rumors that a royal heirloom gate existed, a vault of jewelry split inappropriately after Diana's passing. According to palace aides, in June 1998, during an informal meeting at Balmoral Castle, Queen Elizabeth II reportedly expressed regret about not overseeing Diana's jewelry distribution personally. It was Prince William who had spoken up at the time, requesting 2 specific pieces of his mother's jewelry be preserved for future generations. This brooch had been one of them. So when Queen Camilla, now wearing the title once held by Diana, the Duchess of Cornwall, revealed the brooch without hesitation, Catherine's tears were not just about the object itself. It was the cruel collision of past and present. That brooch belonged to a woman whose life had been marked by betrayal. Seeing it again, unacknowledged, unspoken, yet shining like new, was like watching Diana's spirit reappear in the most unexpected of ways. And for Catherine, in 2023, that was simply too much to bear. It wasn't just jewelry. It was a message across time. Catherine's discovery didn't just unlock a hidden part of Diana's story. It proved her place in the royal family was never questioned by the one who mattered most. In that moment, the past and future touched, and Diana's spirit embraced her daughter-in-law.